Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 66, verses 25 and 26. So if you can bring that up on your phone, or for those of you live in the temple room, otherwise, it's Canto 10, Chapter 66, verses 25 and 26. And then devotees on Zoom, you're seeing that on your screen now.
Can you turn the whole thing, not just the website screen sharing, the whole.
My entire screen. Okay, so that shouldn't be the case. Okay, so thank you for that, Manora. That helps. Sorry about that. I'm broadcasting apparently my entire screen here to all of you. You can see all my text messages and emails and
25, 26.
so let's stop share.
10, 66, 25.
With the head.
We'll try this again. Yes. Is that better, Manora?
Yes.
Shirapatitam alokya, Shiram patitam aklokya, Rajadvare sakundalam, Im idam kasya bhavaktram, Iti samshishire jana. Translation: seen a head decorated with earrings lying at the gate of the royal palace. The people present were puzzled. Nice alliteration there. Some of them asked, "Who is this?" And others said, "It is a head, but whose is it?" Very well. A little scary. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes as follows. This would be from the Krishna book. When the head of the king of Kashi was thrown through the city gate, people gathered and were astonished to see that wonderful thing. When they found out that there were earrings on it, they could understand that it was someone's head. They conjectured as to whose head it might be. Some thought it was Krishna's head because Krishna was the enemy of Kasiraj. And they calculated that the king of Kashi might have thrown Krishna's head into the city so that the people might take pleasure in the enemies having been killed. But it was finally detected that the head was not Krishna's, but that of Kashiraj himself. So a very dramatic moment here. We have another verse. Please repeat. Rajna Kashi Paternyatva Mahishya Putra Bandava Aurascha Hatarajan Nata Nateti Prarudan. My dear king, when they recognized it was it as the head of their king, the Lord of Kashi, his queens, sons, and other relatives, along with all the citizens of the city, began to cry pitifully. Alas, we are killed. Oh, my Lord, my Lord. Very tragic. You feel their pain, their anguish. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I would like to discuss these two verses with some context. Kasiraj has been, his head has been found by his citizens, by the city gate, caused them much grief. How did he get into this situation? Giriraj Maharaj tells a story of his first meeting with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was giving a talk at Harvard University. And at the end of the talk, he asked for questions. And Giriraj Maharaj raised his hand. He asked a question. He had been, I believe he studied psychology, at least as one of his courses at Harvard. I think he mentioned in one of his talks that Abraham Maslow was one of his teachers, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, he asked his question of Prabhupada. And instead of answering the question directly, Srila Prabhupada said, first you must understand that you are not God. Oh. And Giriraj Maharaj's mind went to his apartment, to his bathroom, to the mirror in his bathroom, where he had a sign that said, "You are God." No. That encapsulates the message I wanted to give from that story, but there is a nice follow-up. The next time Prabhupada visited Boston, he looked at the devotees and then he saw Giriraj and says, "Ah, you came. I prayed for you."
Wow.
But back to the idea of thinking you are God. It is a tendency of the conditioned soul, the Purusha Abhiman, the desire to be the controller, is very great within us. We want to be served by others. We want to be loved by others. We want to be adored. We would like to have fans and followers and likes on social media. Mark Zuckerberg is very expert at tapping in to this desire, this urge within the conditioned soul to be God. He's profiting from it greatly. So this is very deep within us. Some have a philosophy that justifies it. Mm-hmm. So for many of us, it's a very deep, unconscious, latent, sometimes expressed need or tendency or urge. And then some, they develop a philosophy and then they like openly advocate and declare their godliness, their divinity. Some, they're able to convince others of their godliness. We serve these false gods. We become adoring fans. We become hero worshippers. Maybe we see ourselves in them. And oh, if they can be God, maybe I can be God as well. That person was able to achieve their godliness. Someone similar to me, they were able to get what I want. Let me follow them. The end result of serving false gods is disappointment, destruction. Kasiraj shows us that today in the verses 25, 26 of the 66th chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Kasiraj had not declared himself to be God. He was the follower of Pondraka. Pondraka was another king. He was a very powerful warrior, Sukadeva Goswami tells us. He had adoring fans who flattered him, And he came to believe that he is God and demanded worship not only of other humans, but of Krishna himself. Sanatana Goswami tells us he got some extra arms. And we, laugh at this. It sounds really dumb, for want of a better word. But Sanatana Goswami tells us he actually got them from Lord Shiva. So maybe there was more to it than just some paper mache, fake arms that he has attached to him. Maybe there was some kind of something more believable even to himself. And one of his followers is a king, the king of Kashi. Maybe he had other kings who were following him as well, but he went to stay with the king of Kashi. And he sent a message to Krishna. Like he's feeling very comfortable, very confident in his divinity. He sends a messenger to Dwarka, says, Krishna, you are the false god. I am the real Vasudeva. Stop using my name. And my garments, the garments of Vishnu, Krishna wears yellow. Well, Pondraki was also wearing yellow garments. He believed himself Vishnu. And he told Krishna, and my symbols, my chakra, my club, you're carrying this paraphernalia of the divinity, and it's not appropriate. Stop using them. How many lawsuits are there in the US where someone takes another to court for using their name, their branding, their logos, their colors, their tagline? And so this is Pondraka taking a stance with Krishna. I am the real incarnation, the real Vasudeva. You're the pretender. Cease and desist. I won't tolerate any longer. And so Krishna, and the Yadus, Ugrasen Maharaj, they had a good laugh when Pondraka sent this message, and it was read out in the assembly in Dwaraka. And Krishna says, okay, I'll go and give him my Sudarshan. So he took an army and rode out to Kashi. Kashi has endangered himself and his family and his citizens by hosting the pretender Pondraka, who then goes out and confronts Krishna with his provocation. And so Kashi and Pondraka, they ride out with their armies to meet Krishna. And the description of the battle is quite short. You've been discussing it these days. It's not a lengthy description. There's more a battle of words. Trash talk. And eventually, Krishna sends his Sudarshan to deal with Pondraka, and then here with Kasiraj. His head has been severed by Sudarshan and sent flying through the city, over the city gate, and it has landed there. And it appears that it's not entirely recognizable. So there's been some kind of physical mutilation as well. It wasn't a clean cut. There was some kind of mutilation of the head, either on contact or as it flew. Sudarshan is most powerful. And so initially the citizens are unable to discern whose head it is. We've read the verses. Whose is it? Whose is it? Some excitement. They see the earrings. Okay, it's a head. They're initially not even sure whether it's a torso or a head or a leg, or what is it? There's earrings, it's a head. Somebody's been slain. Oh, maybe it was Krishna, our king Kashiraj. He has been out on the battlefield. maybe Krishna is dead and Kashiraj has sent the head for all of us to see. But then they discover, no, it is indeed Kasiraj himself. So you can imagine this bustling city, the seat of power, suddenly confronted with this head lying at the gate, the confusion. We're reading it here. But then this recognition, it's our king's head, our leader's head. Try to contextualize, just a couple of weeks ago, a former president of the United States, and hopefully we're not going to take a political stance here, not a future president again, but whatever the case may be, was nearly assassinated. And what shock that causes. Not even a current head of state, a former head of state, possibly future, but such alarm, such concern. And so here, for the citizens, they have lost their king. We have, in ISKCON, we have experience of losing a leader, maybe not by death, but losing a leader, someone who leaves for one reason or another, personal reasons, spiritual reasons, personal and spiritual reasons, shortcoming, and it causes much distress and shock and a sense of abandonment and grief. People can take years to recover from that, the shock, the grief of losing a leader. And so we're seeing some of that here. And this story does not end here. This story will go on. It gets worse, we can say. Maybe that's as much as we'll say on that. It gets worse. So we can reflect personally. Are we guilty of serving false gods, wanting to be God, serving false gods? King Kashi has served the false god Pondraka. By the way, yeah, it's interesting. Kashi is getting, well, in the next story as well, gets a bad rap here. It's a city that has more followers of Lord Shiva or more Mayavadis than Vaishnavas. And here the Bhagavatam is not glorifying Kashi or its ruler. Anyway, that's just a side observation. The King Kashi has followed Pondraka, who dared to defy Krishna. But do we sometimes or many times put our faith in false deities or gods before Krishna? Social status, so the false gods may be other people, but it might be the desire for material status or success. Kashiraja's death, Pondraka's death reminds us of the transient nature of false gods. Prahlad Maharaj calls them fallible soldiers. They won't be able to protect you. Bhagavatam, famously, there's a verse, Guru nasasya pita nasasya janani nasasya David nasasya. Don't become a demigod. Don't become a parent. Don't become a teacher unless you can truly deliver your dependents, your followers from death, the cycle of birth and death. Pondraka has led Kasiraj to death. He hasn't delivered him. He's led him to destruction. And you'll see as the story progresses, others also meet their destruction. Interestingly, as a side note, again, when you read Bhagavatam, when Krishna defeats a king, usually he installs the son on the throne. Krishna never takes another king's kingdom. That's common among kings. You invade another kingdom, you fight with another king, defeat them, and then you take their crown. Krishna never does it in the Bhagavatam. Every time he installs their relative, their nearest relative, Ugrasen Maharaj in the case of Kamsa, or the son of that personality in the case of Jarasandha, for example, or Narakasura. He installs their son as the ruler. That doesn't happen here. And so that's also interesting to probe or to think about. Why hasn't that happened? We might speculate, well, the pastime carries on. You'll see. He defies Krishna. We can also think about leadership. Kasiraj, is he a good leader? He has followers who Pondraka, they have followers who adore them. Kasiraj has followers who cry for him when he's gone. He has followers, so he's popular. Often in leadership, one of the gauges, a successful leader, how popular they are. Look at the opinion polls. How popular are they? Kasiraj is popular. But he has not led his citizens to a good place. He's led them to what will be further destruction for them, further distress. And so true leadership is not just about popularity, not just about titles and power. There's character, there's integrity, there's a service. And then Bhagavatam says the leader should be able to deliver their dependence. Krishna, he is the ultimate leader, the ultimate refuge, the ultimate ashraya, shelter for all of us. And then we can also think about, finally, the downfall of this Kasiraj by Krishna. Reminds us how Krishna maintains justice and order. Kasiraj's head at the gate indicates his destruction. And how we can avoid this destruction is by bowing our heads to Krishna in humility. So we either offer our heads by bowing forward, or Sudarshan, as time, Kala Chakra, will take our head. Either way, we will offer our head to Krishna. And so when we align ourselves, align our lives, align our objectives with Krishna's will, with Krishna's authority, then we offer our head in a way that is pleasing to Krishna, and healthy for us. And when we are out of alignment, then Krishna, Sudarshan, comes to correct us, to put us into alignment, to make our heads bow to Krishna. But it is painful. Painful for us, painful for others if we are a leader, painful for those who follow as well. When the Vaishnava dies, there is sadness, but there is also joy in the hearts of the devotees. when the materialist dies, when the materialist is killed or the head is severed by Sudarshan, it is only a time for lamentation. So many, many nice lessons and reflections for us from this pastime. The take home for us is to remember that we should strive to lead our lives, not trying to be God or serving false gods, be they other humans or other idols that we invest with divinity and then serve. We can think about leadership and what that is. Hondraka is a type of leader. Kasiraj is a type of leader, but their followers are not benefited. And then we can think about our own selves and how we align with Krishna's will, how we offer our heads in service and receive the protection of Sudarshan, as opposed to trying to hold our heads high in competition with Krishna and having Sudarshan level it for us, to force us to surrender. So we were asked to finish at 1:45 and leave time for comments. May I invite Urmila, maybe?
Couple of things. First of all, I was thinking even some people that follow Krishna get destroyed.
About 23 people online.
We cannot hear here. Can you move the device closer to Urmila Devi?
This way comes up.
Here, I will.
No.
That's the-
Oh.
That has me. Talking to that.
No, let me come to you.
Oh, no, you're on the Vyasa. It doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way when you're on the Vyasa.
Well,
If you weren't on the Vyasa, no, I'm not sitting on the Vyasa. That's not happening. So I was thinking about Abhimanyu, that he followed Krishna and he got destroyed.
Right.
So one could also, and he got destroyed illegally.
Right.
So that was just one thought.
So a counterexample.
A counterexample, yeah. And the other thing was, okay, how do we identify our actually three questions. Well, how do we identify our false gods that we're worshiping? You know, obviously none of your audience most likely is actually worshiping a Pondraka, literally. But how do we identify the things that we're worshiping as if they were God? And then the other thing is, and ourselves trying to be God, you know, how do we do our service trying to do something nice for Krishna without getting in the mood of trying to be the controller to accomplish something nice?
Yeah, nice.
So my
Thank you.
three things.
Such nice.
I hope that was all right with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're up in me from the other night when I asked 2 in 1.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll address these and then I'll hand over to you, Prabhu. So, counterexamples. So there's a nice point that's made in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is that failure in one's duty or failure while performing one's duty is also success. There is a glory in that fight. It doesn't diminish one. And so it's different than when you're on the wrong course. You're acting out of ego and passion and desire. The other day you quoted Krishna, "I'm the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire." So failure in terms of getting an immediate result while performing one's duty it's a failure in terms of result, but it is a success in performing one's duty or sacrificing oneself to perform a duty. And that's the higher order. And it is a glorious thing. So Abhimanyu's death, tragic as it was, but it's not seen as a failure on his part. He is a hero. So Google has a rule: fail well. They say you're going to fail. If you're trying new things, you're going to fail, but learn from it and build from it. So failure as part of the course of doing one's job. In the Gita, it's so-called failure. Krishna is telling Arjuna, if you fight and you're defeated, you still win. If you fight and win, then you double win. In terms of knowing our false gods, was that the second or the third? Yeah. Knowing our false gods, that takes introspection.
Some examples?
Uh-huh. Yeah. It might be different for each of us. Yeah. So so definitely in some parts of our community, like for us of a Western background, then we may be very clear on monotheism. There's one God, and it's like really clear for us. So for us, it might be easier to have a clear sense. But I know for devotees who start to dabble in the esoteric, astrology and so on, they might start to get gray areas there. And then for in the Hindu community, it can be a little more gray. I'll tell you a story. We were in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, with Indrajuna Maharaj. And at the time, there was no ISKCON center. And we flew into Harare and we stayed with a friend. At that time, there was an embargo on South Africa. So there were no international flights in or out of South Africa. You had to go through Harare and then catch a South African Airlines flight from there into South Africa. So we needed a place, and we were told this person is keen. He's a devotee, he's interested, he's aspiring to Giriraj Maharaj. And we went to the house, and there was an altar with everyone on it. You know, all the guru, the god men, along with demigods, but you know, current god men gurus in India. And we were like, how serious is this person about being a devotee? And so the next day, I think we had a flight. We stayed over a couple of days to do some programs. And so he was at work. He had a business. And then Indrajuna Maharaj told me, Sri Prahlad, get me a box. So I got him a box. And then he went and sat over at the altar and packed up the altar. Like took everyone off, cleaned the altar down, and then put up Radha Krishna, Panchatattva, Srila Prabhupada, Giriraj Maharaj, because he was aspiring to Maharaj. And I was thinking, oh my God, you can't do that. You can't do that to someone's altar.
Yeah.
I was like really, really apprehensive. And then I was like, he was away, but then I was just, I was not looking forward to his return home and how he might react to us changing his altar up. So he walked in. Indrajuna Maharaj was in the other room. I was there kind of like full of apprehension. He looked at his altar. He paid his obeisances. And then he looked up at me and he smiled so broadly. He said, I wanted to do that for so long, but I was scared. I was scared. Those pictures, they've been there for so long and in our family. I was afraid. He said, but you did. I said, he said, Maharaj did it for me. Maharaj did it for me. Anyway, that might be an extreme example, but just to give us a sense of the broader spectrum. And then in terms of us, so then where are we investing our worship, our energy, our time, our money, maybe even? It might give us a sense of what our false deities are, whether it's a car, a very fancy car, or some other material facility or arrangement. Okay, a third question from Urmila Mataji was about, it was a really nice question, and it's slipping my mind.
You were talking about, we want to be God and we want to be the controller.
Oh yeah. So then how do we serve? Yeah, how do we serve? Yeah, great question. And so I've thought about this a lot. And the example I'll give is as a university professor. So I can go into to give my lecture thinking, how do I impress my students today? I want to make a really good impression. I want to have them to have a sense of my knowledge and what I can teach them. And it's all about me. I don't give my best lecture when I'm in that attitude. Or I can think about, what do my students really need to know? Where are they now? What are they struggling with? And how do I best convey to them what they need to know to get through this course and to get the most from it? And when I go with that attitude, I do my best teaching. So the mood of service, when we flip it around, or as a kirtaniya, I can be leading the kirtan, try to impress others, to be God, in a sense, a false God. Or I can be there in a mood of service. How do I best facilitate others in this kirtan? And that's my best kirtan. I get out of my head and come to my heart, and I'm able to serve. So we can do our best service when we switch that around, not wanting to be God. Thank you. Hari Purush Prabhu. Tony, and Bhima has his hand raised as well.
Well, of course, stupendous class as usual. We thank you so much. Mataji really hit the nail on the head when you say he was trying to be God. And we do that in small ways. What does that boil down to? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, how could somebody be so illusioned to think that how could they be so crazy and totally out of reality to think that they're the Supreme Lord? But Bhagavad Gita says very simply, we're born into illusion. Everyone's born into illusion based on desire and hate. I like this, I don't like that. She hit on the idea of the controller is one aspect that we're trying to be, the person in control of everything that's going on, and the enjoyer. The criteria for life is whether or not what happens is something that pleases me. I like it, I don't like it. So to one extent or another, if I think that what I'm doing is for my pleasure, then that's how we fall into delusion. If we think that I'm in control, so it says we're attached to the endeavor, but not to the result. I'm not doing this. And when they said Prabhupada, you made so many temples, you made so many devotees, you printed so many books, you give so many, and you did this. He said, if you want to say what I did, you should say that I repeated what I heard from my spiritual master. Temples, books, disciples may come or may not come, but if we simply accept the fact that I'm here on Prabhupada's behalf, let me say what you want me to say, Lord. Even when you say, Adi, what do you want to say? I'm saying, Prabhupada, what do you want to say? What did I hear from him? What do I hear from Guru in scripture? That's all. It's a really simple life. And then we avoid the idea that I did it, I'm the controller, I like it, I don't like it. And we're free from the endeavor to be the supreme controller and enjoyer, the Lord. Call it the Lord, or just call it the controller and enjoyer, because Krishna is called Adi Purusha. That means he's the one who has the most fun. God has the most fun. Okay, I'll go to Prabhupada. Sorry to talk so long.
That's not fair, Adipurusha Prabhu. You are biased to that name.
What did he say?
Oh,
We need to,
Manohar? Manohar wants to speak?
yeah.
I have one question kind of piggyback off of Mother Amila's questions. And you kind of alluded to it, where we may even well, can you, and what to do if maybe even devotees become our false god, or a devotee becomes our false god. That scenario where they maybe aren't the person that we should be investing that in, or maybe they are.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, what a question. That's very interesting. And because our culture is that you serve and respect and honor and love devotees. And yeah, devotees, guru, yeah. And then you're asking, but what about if we make the devotee our false god? This happened in Prabhupada's time. Some of his leading sannyasis, at New Vrindavan, they started telling the devotees, Prabhupada left America for India because he's offended that we didn't realize that he's God. And when Prabhupada heard it, he was so angry that he excommunicated those, those four sannyasis. Yeah. So that may be extreme, but what you're asking about is more subtle. And Guru Tattva is subtle. Understanding the spiritual master is subtle. Understanding so when Prabhupada said you must serve the Guru as good as God, that caused some confusion among his disciples. So what does it mean to be a disciple? They asked him at 26 Second Avenue after the first initiation. So it means you serve the Guru as good as God. And then the devotees, they said, Prabhupada said he's God. No. So the Guru is not God. He is not Mukunda. He's Mukunda Preshta. He's not Krishna. He's Krishna Preshta. Krishna, Mukunda is the deliverer. The Guru, the devotee, is dear to Krishna, who delivers. We see other hands there, and we're going to need to end here because look at that. Radha Muralidhar want to give us their darshan, Gauranga Leela and Bhima. Maybe this can continue after reading the deities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Wonderful class, Sri Prahlad Prabhu. Thank you. Darshan time. Turn on your cameras, please. Heads off like William did. Thank you, William Prabhu. Nice seeing everybody.
Yesterday, the whole building shook.
Shiva Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, welcome to the Afterglow. All right. Anyone wants to speak? Shri Prahlad Prabhu is here. I see him. He may be able to maybe answer if that's a question. I see Bhima Prabhu is crawling out of somewhere. There he is.
Hari Hari.
Yeah, Shri Prahlad Prabhu is back.
Let Gauranga Leela go.
Okay. Gauranga Leela.
Can Urmila Devi Dasi please tell her favorite memories with Prabhupada,
Ah, okay.
please?
She is in another room now.
Yeah, she's given class in August. We'll ask her then. She will have her association.
Okay, you have to wait a little while, Karangalila. That's also, it could increase your eagerness
Yeah.
and anticipation. So what date, Ananda?
There's no date. There's no date, but
okay.
I'll try to
But it will be
schedule
on.
her as early as possible in the month.
Thanks,
Bhima Leela.
Karangalila. Yeah, sorry we couldn't satisfy that request, but it's coming. It's been registered. Ananda's going to arrange for
Yeah.
Ananda Devi to give class, and you can ask that question. Bhima Prabhu?
Yes, Haribol Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear.
Could be better. Can you come closer to the phone, maybe?
How about now?
Better. Go ahead. Oh, brother. Choppy, Bhima Prabhu. It's choppy.
Am I okay, or do I sound drunk?
Sound like word salad.
Word salad.
It's good now. It's good now.
Yeah, we can make it up.
All right. I just thought that was obviously a wonderful class because ultimately, according to Shastra, the reason why we're here in this material world is because we wanted to play little gods in a little world and a little time. Prabhu, could you maybe elaborate or give us one of your wonderful anecdotes? What's great about your classes is that you always tell a story of something when you're with Indra Yuna or something you remember from Prabhupada Leela. I've come to understand after many years that that the real prayer that we have to Krishna is everything we do. Prayer is what we do, not what we say, and even what we pray.
Yeah.
I've prayed earnestly, and then proceeded to do the opposite, and literally throwing my hands in the air, saying, "Krishna, whatever it takes, chastise me." But there's a habit here, and I'm praying, but I can't do it. So if you could, give us a little anecdote or something to break through that morass. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Bhima. And there can be a tension between our values. That's what we hold to be our aspiration for ourselves, and then our behaviors. And when that gap is great, it causes psychological dysfunction, actually. It becomes seriously inhibitive for the healthy functioning of the individual. So generally our values are just above our behaviors are just beneath our values. We have some values and we have some principles that we abide by, and we try to fulfill them, but we never fully hit the mark. And then we might come in contact with a society like ISKCON, and our values go really high. We want to be pure devotees. And then in a short period of time, we lift our behaviors as well, and we think we are pure devotees, living in the ashram among the saints, and we become saints. And then in time we realize that we're not able to maintain it at that same level of full dedication and surrender. And so our behaviors drop, but the values remain really high. And then we might find that somebody, they've struggled to function in a healthy manner after that. And so what Krishna gives us in the Gita is a framework to think about our life as a journey with different stages, and there's a progressive development: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas, whether in a formal way, but internally. We can think about Gauranga Lila. I see your hand, so we'll come to you. So whether formally or informally, but if we think of our lives in terms of those stages and seasons, it can make for more healthy functioning. We bring down our aspiration for ourselves in that moment, recognizing our conditioning and needs at a given stage, but then hold as a longer term objective to achieve a position or a place of full surrender. So that wasn't an anecdote, but rather an analysis of how we gradually progress. So Gauranga, your hand is raised again. Double enthusiasm.
I finally chanted on Japa.
Oh, you chanted
I
around.
finally chanted Hare Krishna.
Well done. Congratulations.
By your mercy.
I want to be like Gauranga Lila in my next life.
Yeah, Bhima Prabhu, you're too complicated. Just chant Hare Krishna.
Wait, can I tell what happened yesterday?
Let's hear it.
So I was told to so Krishna forced me to give up my favorite prasadam food just to chant Hare Krishna mantra. He made me lose my favorite Indian snacks.
Right.
Prasadam at the temple. I was very sad about that, but for some reason this thought was in my head that I remembered that my dad said that chanting japa can actually it's more powerful than you think. It can heal from any diseases and from anything. So I remembered that. So
well done.
I thought, why not find
So when Prabhupada was in his final days, he stopped eating. I'm not saying you should do this because it's important to have a healthy diet as well. But he stopped eating because he was in his final days. And the devotee said, Prabhupada, please eat something. And Prabhupada said, Amala Harinam Ami Avilasa. My food is hearing the Sankirtan. My food is the holy name.
Can I continue?
Yeah, okay.
So finally, I made myself to chant Hare Krishna. So I went to the other room where it's quiet. So I took my japa and started chanting Hare Krishna. But I was like praying to Radhanath Swami, to Srila Prabhupada, to please help me chant Hare Krishna. Like I was begging them to help. And I was like telling that I'm such a fool. I couldn't follow your instructions to chant and to be happy. Like, yeah.
Well, you look very happy now. Yeah.
I'm happy that I finally chanted Hare Krishna.
Well done. Okay, Ananda, handing it back to you.
Thank you very much, Shripalat Prabhu, for taking the time to stay with us during the afterglow. Thank you very much for your association, for wonderful answers, always backed up by Shastra and anecdotes. Yeah, those things are important. Anecdotal evidence, one may say, but it gets the point across.
Yeah.
Thank you, especially that story where Indradumna Maharaj so boldly replaced the deities, fixed the altar. Where did the bugs go? Did he burn it or
No, we didn't burn it. We just left
bury
it. I don't know what happened to it ultimately. Good question.
All right. Okay, Shripalat Prabhu, any final instructions for us before we go out and practice what we learned?
So yeah, that we try to develop an attitude of service. So that's the flip side from Purusha Abhiman, from wanting to be the enjoyer, to developing that attitude of Ami Krishna Nityadas. I am Krishna's eternal servant. And Prabhupada, he would say how his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, when disciples would offer obeisances to him, he would say, Dasosmi, I'm your servant. And so we can take that attitude into everything we do, into every dealing we have with other people and other things, seeing them as part and parcel of Krishna. We'll live in a much more respectful, loving, supportive world than when we're all in competition with each other, seeing each other as competitors for the throne.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, devotional service is the answer. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Go to the temple, chant, dance, feast, sweat for Krishna. Hug devotees. Smile. My wife has given wonderful suggestions. Okay, Hare Krishna. Love you all. Hari Bol, Shri Prahlad. Wonderful class. Bowing down to you. Bow down to Urmila Devi for us, please. And yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.